Good morning. It's great to be back at the Kern Energy Summit. How many of you were here last year? And yet you came back to my talk this time. So there's coffee outside in case you... Actually, I have important news. I have two good pieces of news this year. So if you give me a couple of minutes, I think you'll be interested in at least one of them. But before I start, I wanted to put in a plug for another event. This weekend is the Kern Energy Festival, sponsored by SIPA and a number of you in this room. At table 30, I've got tickets to that event. It's family friendly. It's Saturday at the museum, and I wanted to suggest if you're not already planning to attend, please attend. GlassPoint's going to be participating in that event, including a new Oculus Rift virtual reality fly-through of a solar project that I'm about to talk about. I'm also not a millennial, but I've seen the virtual reality thing, and it's pretty cool. So, we just talked about growing together. Who's the largest energy producer in Kern County among all of the above? Solar, geothermal, wind, oil. Who's the largest producer? Oil. That's right. Who's the largest energy user in Kern County? That's also right. It's also the oil industry. And the oil industry, until fairly recently, has really only used energy from one source, and I'm going to talk about another source that is now compelling because it's cheaper. GlassPoint is the only solar company in the world that exclusively focuses on the needs of the oil industry. Worldwide, the industry uses as much energy as Western Europe. It takes energy to produce energy. Most of that energy is in the form of heat, and we make steam from sunshine to serve that need. In Kern County, as we just discussed, the industry is the largest energy user, and the vast majority of the energy that's used is in the form of heat. We're going to talk about what that is in just a second. For those of you who aren't familiar, I apologize because I think about 95% of the people in the room already know the next 5 things I'm going to say. GlassPoint's technology is a revolutionary new approach to solar energy. It was born here in Kern County. We built our first little commercial pilot system for Berry Petroleum, opened it in February of 2011. Some of you in the room, I think Les, you were there, and Kevin McCarthy spoke, talked about all of the above. That project has been a resounding success, and we're now building a project 3,000 times larger than that little project because of it. That project that we're building that's 3,000 times larger is at a site that's just a 500-mile drive from town in the desert in South Oman. And one of the pieces of news that I have is that we are now ready to come back to California. A number of things have changed, including the regulatory framework and advances in finance, so that we can make a contribution here as well. So the oil industry has a proud tradition of well over 100 years of production here in California. And again, innovation, fundamental changes in technology have changed the future of the industry. I wanted to point out just one. This is a slide from my colleague Mridul Kumar at Chevron, looking at the history of the Kern River field. And it was discovered in 1899. Production by 1905 was in the 50,000 barrels a day. So that's thousands of barrels a day on the vertical axis, years on the horizontal axis. And you can see by the mid-50s, that field was about done. Most of the oil that could be recovered had been recovered. Production had fallen off dramatically. What happened next? There was a new technology introduced that completely revolutionized it. Right? That technology caused an explosion both in production rate and in the ultimate recovery, the amount of oil that was in the formation that could be recovered. And that same technology today is powering very large amounts of production here. What was it? Steam injection. Around, about half of California's crude is now produced with this steam injection technology. As Richard mentioned, 2/3 of the oil that's left in the world is heavy oil. It requires energy to get it out. By heating it, steam has several mechanisms by which it works, but fundamentally, a boiler produces high-pressure steam, which heats the formation, changing the characteristics of the oil, making it easier to produce. And that one advance, I'm trivializing that advance. I mean, there were lots and lots of steps along learning how to do it. But that advance is what drove a fundamental change in the value and the lifetime of oil fields here in Kern County. And that's true countywide. So where does that steam come from? What is the fuel? When things started in the 1960s, we were burning lease crude. Over time, we switched to burning natural gas. Natural gas has had price spikes and price drops. And what I'm here today to talk about is that now we're at a moment where solar energy can replace fuels and be cheaper, which is, it's not because of mandates, it's not because of feel good, it's because it's lower cost. So, as I mentioned, our technology was born we built a little 300 kilowatt unit for Berry Petroleum in McKittrick. That unit's now it's coming up on 5 years of successful operation. We learned a lot, but it was the foundation of this fundamentally different approach to solar energy. We build systems that deliver solar steam into the oil field that are exactly compatible with conventional oil field boilers. We worked with one of Bakersfield's best respected engineering firms, best respected construction firms, and built systems that exactly dropped in. On the back of that success of that unit here in Kern County, we built a project, as I mentioned, at a site in South Oman that posed all kinds of logistical challenges because it's 500 miles deep in the desert. We were on time, on budget, zero injury. We've beaten our contract energy output for many years, and now we're building a $600 million, 1,000 megawatt project that will be delivering about a third of the steam at this one oil field that's now in construction. It will begin producing steam in 2017, and I have a little 1-minute summary of the.
At the Amal oil field in southern Oman, thousands of barrels of heavy oil are produced each day. Heavy oil is thick and energy intensive to recover, so Petroleum Development Oman deploys a number of innovative production technologies. In 2012, they began operating the Middle East's first solar-powered oil field with GlassPoint Solar. The pilot system uses concentrated sunlight to turn water into steam. The steam is injected into an oil reservoir to heat the oil, making it easier to pump to the surface. Solar energy provides sustainable, low-cost steam. The steam is currently produced by burning natural gas in these giant boilers. By using solar, the gas not burned at the oil field can be exported or used for industrial development, creating economic benefits for Oman. The successful pilot paved the way for Mirah, which will be one of the world's largest solar plants of any kind. Mirah, meaning mirror in Arabic, is currently under construction and will begin producing steam in 2017. Once complete, Mirah will be more than 100 times larger than the pilot, delivering over 1 gigawatt of peak thermal energy. It will produce more than 6,000 tons of solar steam each day, resulting in considerable gas savings and emission reductions. GlassPoint's technology is unlike any other solar technology. It was built specifically for the oil field and uses the same water supply and equipment used by operators for decades. Mirrors inside a glasshouse structure focus sunlight on a steel pipe filled with water. The concentrated sunlight boils the water to efficiently produce steam. The glasshouse protects the solar array from harsh oil field conditions like wind and dust, reducing cost and maintenance. Much of the materials used to build Mirah will be sourced locally, creating jobs and contributing to long-term economic development in Oman. This is just the beginning. Amal is just one oil field among several larger heavy oil fields in Oman and throughout the world. The oil and gas industry is the next major market for solar energy.
Yeah, thank you. Mark and our social media team and our 3D team did that. Thank you. And it's nice to be able to tell this story at last. We've been working on this for a long time. So as I mentioned, part two of my news, beyond the fact that we're now building the largest solar project in the world, which was sanctioned at a time of low oil prices because it did one key thing. Well, it did two key things. It reduced the cost of producing oil. It also, in Oman, liberated natural gas, because gas is in short supply in Oman. Here in North America today, natural gas is not in short supply. But we also, I think, have low oil prices here, and it's a quite critical issue to reduce the cost of production. In most projects that are running steam, steam is the largest single part of the cost of production. So any technology that can cut the cost of steam has an important role to play in, if we cut the cost of production, we're going to lengthen the life of the oil field. We're going to improve its profitability. We're going to keep people working despite the fact that we're in this low price environment, so that operator survives until when prices recover. And the contribution that we can make today, and the reason why I say it's time for us to come back to California, is that with changes in the regulatory environment and changes in project finance, because our technology has come down in cost and we're building big that give us the experience to use project finance, we're now able to offer steam contracts rather than you have to purchase the system, and steam contracts that are below the price of gas-fired steam. So we now are ready to offer steam at a lower cost. We can cut the cost against the gas-fired price, no matter what the forward price of natural gas is. We're writing steam future contracts that are indexed to gas futures so that we can guarantee that in any scenario, solar energy is going to be lower cost for your oil field than gas-fired steam. And that's a revolution in the solar industry. For the first time in the Middle East, we are cheaper than the gas-fired option, and now in California, we're also cheaper than the gas-fired option. So that's the talk, you know. So I hope you understand that we are laser focused on meeting the energy needs of the oil industry, contributing to profitability and production. You know, we were born here and we are ready to come back, and I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for your attention. We have a couple of minutes. I don't know if there are any questions that came up, or I'd be happy to speak to you afterwards. I'm at table 30. All right, Richard, we're ahead of schedule.